Hello and welcome. We are getting the privilege of sitting with another beautiful soul who has allowed the journey of his life to lead him to exactly where he is now, and that is in touch with his passion and his awareness of giving back and contributing everything that he's experienced and what his heart says is needed in our world today. So thank you so much for joining us, Larry Monks, to be our guest here. I can't wait to dive into the journey of your life and how you've literally allowed the pain, trauma, awareness, unfolding of your life to light your life in a whole new way so that you can be a powerful being helping others. Thank you so much, Larry.
Hey, it's great being here. Thank you very much, Tina Marie.
Awesome. And Larry, you're a certified life coach and a trainer and a speaker and content producer. Then you've allowed this journey of your life to fill you in that way. So let's begin at a place, because you and I've had conversations, and it wasn't always easy. You were born into a beautiful, wonderful, very supportive family, and you were diagnosed at a young age with something that rocked your world, rocked your family's world, and really transformed the way you needed to see the safety and life in general. Could you take us to that place?
Yeah, I tell you what, absolutely. I was, when I was young, I had tachycardia, first off, when I was born. And that was an interesting story, according to my father. Of course, I don't remember anything, but he had to literally drive me from one hospital to the other on the night of my birth, he said, to get me across. So for the first several years of my life, up until, I'd say, maybe 7, 8 years old, parents are very concerned about me doing any type of activity. And of course, a 7 to 8 year old boy and even younger, what does a child like to do but play? Okay. Right. So that was minimized out of fear of what would happen. So I was taking medication for them. And that was kind of fascinating because with that medication, I always had to come in and get checked. Well, lo and behold, it just so happened that went away. So that was gone. So that was a wonderful thing.
And let people know, what is tachycardia so they can understand what that experience was for you.
Yeah, so what happens is tachycardia is when your heart increases in speed sporadically, okay, on its own. I mean, so the heart rate would just jump for whatever reason it did. And that's something I had from birth. And so there was a concern, as my parents told me when I was born, I was blue, okay, because of this. And so they had to deal with it. And my father used to tell them, yeah. And so, but that was fine. Then it just went away. Mm-hmm. So that was a wonderful thing.
And then you were also diagnosed with childhood diabetes.
Type 1 diabetes, juvenile, yeah.
Yeah. So
juvenile diabetes.
Juvenile diabetes, yes.
Yeah. And that's the first memory that I actually have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is the first memory that I can recall, because I was in a room and I can remember seeing my mother's face with great concern. And then I had my brothers come in, my sister come in, and they would just look at me, and I wondered what was going on. I thought it was very strange, but I'm in the hospital room, and I just remember a plastic type cover of some sort. Maybe it was from wherever. I was 2 years old, and I didn't know what was going on, but all of a sudden things were changing. And then it seemed to me that it went back to normal, except now I had to take shots. So there you go.
Oh, that's joyful for a youngster, right?
Oh, yeah. So I had to take shots, and we had to learn how to test and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that was a fun experience. But it was
I like your attitude.
It was one where I just learned how I had to step back and do things just differently. And so just learn to be careful of things. Yeah.
And growing up, did you ever feel that difference inside yourself either got certain attention that, you were broken at some level? And I share this because, our listeners, this resonates inside of each of our souls. Whenever there's these seasons of becoming that we have, is each one of us is going to have our own story where we go through those trials and tribulations. And, you and I have had this discussion that it's more like the hero's journey.
Right. Exactly.
we have to have these, for whatever reason in this human life, these places where that which is against us feels like it's arduous, or it singles us out, or it makes us feel like we don't fit in. And then we get through these, and we do lead to that next level of our life where we see the beauty of it. So growing up, was it, were you just one of the guys in school, and everything was great? Or were there other things that you started realizing as a youngster that you had to get through?
I got to tell you, unfortunately, I was not allowed to be one of the guys. Okay. That was very disheartening. Now at school, yeah, great. Okay. I go to school, play with all the kids, that
Yeah.
was fantastic. But all my brothers were doing sports, and that was pulled back from me. It was out of fear for my parents. I don't blame them. They just didn't know.
Right.
But any of the more aggressive sports, which I really wanted to participate in, one, because I saw my brothers do it. My sister was very athletic as well, but I couldn't do that. I was almost forbidden from doing it.
Mm.
And so I found that to be, uh, that's when I first started to realize, oh, wow, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
There's something that I have to overcome, because I wanted to prove to my parents that, hey, I can do this. You don't need to hold me back.
Yeah.
And it was a fear that they had. And so that lasted all the way up through high school, when I finally was able to convince them that, yes, I can do this. And so my sophomore year of high school, they let me play football. And then in the second to last game of the season, I broke my femur and spent 3.5 months in traction. So it was almost as if mom and dad were saying, I told you. And I said, well, that's different. It's not diabetes related.
Yeah, breaking a femur, which is a big deal, had nothing to do with those health conditions.
So, so it was just a freak accident during the game. Yeah. So it was funny, but I could see it and I even heard it from my father when he said, you see, we didn't want to have to go through this. This is the thing. And I thought, oh no, now I'm going to fall back again.
Yeah. And we can have that mindset, or that lower level mind, speak to us in that way, no matter what's going on in our life, and it be there and try to keep us safe, right? It just does. I can see what your parents are doing, trying to keep it safe.
But the thing is, see, there was that desire to take care of me while I was growing that inadvertently also held me back. Mm-hmm. Okay. For example, while I would attend school and do my studies and do this, I never saw up here me being on my own. Mm. And that
was like a level of confidence, even like
right. And so that started to develop at an early teenage age. Okay. And so while I was growing up, I remember, it was time for going to college. Great. You need to go to college. We're going to keep you in town and you could live here at home. Hmm. Well, that's one of the things that's almost becoming a type of crossing over, a coming of age event for many young adults, not all, but many. And so
it's like leaving the nest, really. It's like that proverbial flying away from the nest and getting outside of the town that you grew up in.
Exactly. And the thing is, I sensed I'm never going to be able to be on my own.
Wow.
Okay. And that was kind of an interesting thing. So I did. And then finally, just to get out, I had to, again, in my 20s, over 21 years of age, almost beg and plead, please let me out. Let me go. But the thing is that there was quite a bit of just basic management, okay, that I never leared, okay?
Management of life.
Management of life, basic things, basic budget. When I went shopping for food, I would go and buy all the stuff that people think that young men in college would buy. It's just
ramen noodles. Yeah.
And I would listen to the other guys with whom I was living with. I was living with in a house with some other young guys who were also going to University of Houston. And so I just kind of said, oh, they know, I'll follow them. And of course, not always the healthiest way of living. But and so that's what I did. And I found that to be troubling because at that point, I still wasn't prepared and wasn't ready
Hmm.
for being out on my own. Okay.
Mm. These
So,
things all mount up to, that internal conversation that we have, that many, the people outside of our own mind don't get to hear. They
right,
don't
right.
hear that mind of doubt, that self-doubt, lack of self-trust, the fear that's in the world. Like, what if I fail? What if I fall? What if it doesn't work out? Right. And
Exactly.
do you remember that conversation inside your own mind?
Oh, often, often. I could tell you that even though I was in college, I kept thinking, I don't know how to live outside. I don't know
Mhm.
how to live on my own. That's something that was always going on in my head. This is
Mhm.
great. I'm getting a wonderful education and I'm making good grades, but just basic things in life, I am not sure of. Will people take advantage of my lack of knowledge? I was concerned about that.
Right.
Um, all of those types of things. And so I knew in my mind that I was not ready to be out on my own.
Right.
And
So what
that
shifted?
was
What shifted for you? What brought you? Is there any moment in life that brought you that level of confidence, that level of knowing? Where did you find yourself?
Well, I got to tell you, it was a funny thing. Um, in the Guard, okay, the National Guard, the Texas military forces, they have a division, a part that's called the Texas State Guard. Okay,
Hmm.
and so I heard about that, and I went ahead and applied. And at first they said no because I'm juvenile diabetic, so they
Hmm.
turned me down. And so I reapplied this time without telling my parents. I went ahead and got all kinds of doctors' letters, et cetera, and so forth. And they said, okay, we'll bring you in, but you got to make it through the training. And we
Hmm.
don't know if you can. So
Right.
I said, I will. And that's it. So when I went in, they had the forewarning of the initial entry training, the basic training, um, basically knowing that I had a condition.
Right.
And so I went ahead and entered, and I was going to plug through it. I just said, I'm going to make it through this. And yeah, there were some challenges and it was hard. And there were some times when I had to, got to stop, take a quick break, check. Okay, I'm ready to get back in. My goal was to not be different from anyone else.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm not going to be different from anyone. And so everything we did, I just stuck to it. I stuck it out, ran it through. And when I left that, when we finally got out and I was active in the Guard, that's when I realized, hey, I could do things. So then the mindset started to change from I don't know if I can to just do it. It almost sounds like an advertisement, but just
Right.
do it and identify what needs to be addressed. Okay, several things needed to be addressed. Okay, so I had to identify and then I had to work towards those. And so by going through the process in the Guard, it allowed me to recognize within myself, you know what? They say I can't do this, I can.
Awesome. That
And
there was that inner calling inside of you that had to rise up
absolutely.
and own yourself in a whole new way. Honestly, it sounds like, with all due respect, your parents couldn't have taught you these things.
No, my parents couldn't have. And it's not a lack of love. What it is it was fear and it was uncertainty. And then they were also running their own business. So they were very busy
Right.
doing that. And it just inadvertently happened. Okay.
Mhm.
So the mindset for them was, well, you know what? When he's ready, then I'm sure he'll leave. I'm sure he'll be out there. But in
Mhm.
the mindset, or at the time being, let's just go ahead and keep him here. But the thing is, that's prolonging the adolescence.
Mm.
Um, and even though the intention was nothing harmful,
Right.
it
The
was
effect, the
just
effect is
something
still
that
there.
happened. The
Yeah.
effect was still there. That's
Yeah.
right.
And so this is, you've had this beautiful life of many different careers and things, and I've, you've grown and achieved and been successful through different places in your life. And then now you've come to a part in your career where you want to give back to the youth. You want to help them because I know that you've seen something that is prevalent in our day and time in our culture that worries you. What is that?
Well, there are several things. To begin with, there was a time when I was teaching. I branched off from the family. I started to teach a driving while intoxicated course. Okay, it was a requirement. And while I was doing that, I noticed the majority of those who were coming in were teenagers. Okay.
Mhm.
And so that got my attention. I worked for Aspen Education Group, which
Mhm.
had a rehabilitation center. And I noticed the same thing from across the country. And that's this. There is a tendency whereby I'm noticing a prolonged adolescence
Mm.
that's being established. Okay, think about this. There was once a time, let's say in the Jewish culture, where you have the bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah.
Right.
Okay, you overcome certain things at the age of 13. If
Mhm.
you do these certain requirements, then you transcend from being a child to an adult. That's at 13. Okay,
Mhm.
let's take a look at the Hispanic culture, the quinceañera. And
Right.
when I was teaching high school, I would ask several of the young ladies, I said, "Oh, you had your quinceañera. What does that mean?" "Oh, becoming a lady." And then I'd say, "Oh, so you are now a full-fledged adult." "Oh, no, 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 no." Interesting. Okay. Um, we have many of these in many cultures. We had many of these becoming a man, becoming a lady, or becoming an adult
Right.
in the teenage years. Okay, and
It's
that's
like a ceremonial
yeah,
passage.
it's a passage. That's
Right.
exactly what it is. We don't have that, and what
Mhm.
happens is we're still growing in
Mhm.
our teenage years to become physical adults. And remember, being an adult used to be a little bit younger. We've created a wonderful system whereby we want you to be well trained. And so we pushed up the age of becoming an adult, but we left behind the transition
Mhm.
of actual recognizing I'm no longer a child, I am a full fledged adult. So
Right.
now what we have is we have many young people, and I used to ask this of them: at what age about are you an adult? When would you consider yourself an adult? And what I found was fascinating after asking hundreds of teenagers, high school students, this
Mhm.
question. They would always say the same thing. They would say about 25, 26.
Interesting.
Yeah. So notice how we moved from 13, 14,
18.
15, 15,
Yeah.
16, 18. We used to have 18, and now 25, 26, nothing set.
Mhm.
Okay. And so what happens is we have many in that aspect who, in their mindset, they're not really sure if they're ready to go on. So they stay at home either for several things. Well, I'm going to save some money and I'm going to just make sure I'm ready before I get out there.
Mhm.
Unfortunately for some, they never move on to becoming more responsible
Mhm.
and more independent for themselves. They still hold on to that um, uh, adolescent
Mhm.
mindset, even though they may be working. Okay,
Right.
it's an inadvertent thing that has happened. So that's what I've noticed.
And what do you think contributes to that if we were to look at the different variables in a young person's life that contribute to the staying under the household roof and feeling in this like it sounds like a limbo of I'm an adult physically, yet mentally this lack of confidence is there and I'm not taking those needed steps to live on my own. What are the variables that you've evaluated that contribute to that?
Okay, several things. One is this crossover. Okay, we need to have this crossover. Secondly, it's the inability to actually handle all areas of life that are what is essentially adult skills, and they're simple. They're not taught in school. Okay, now
Okay.
some parents may teach one or two of these, how to maintain a car, maintain a basic checkbook, okay,
Mhm.
things like this, but not everything.
Mhm.
Okay, it's not across the board that we see as required skills.
Right.
Secondly, there's another part of our human being that needs to develop. Okay, we have our physical part. Okay, we grow. No longer a tiny tot.
Right.
Okay, we have our um, intelligent part, our academic part, where we grow in some degree. And granted, academia was good to realize that we need to grow in so many areas, but it unfortunately didn't reach just the basic adult skills that are needed. But the one thing is that what we call the spirit, which is affecting the mind, it is held back. And so then you have the spirit of the young adult becoming independent is restrained. Okay. So therefore, that doesn't grow. And what we see is we see a prolonged way of behavior. Okay.
Such as
In this,
whenever
okay,
whenever
such as,
that behavior is exhibiting itself, what's it look like in a young adult when they're held back?
okay, I'll give you several things. Where someone is in their young 20s and they're still going out and acting like a young wild teenager. Okay, getting out and staying out hours of the night. Okay, living that way. Another thing is still staying at home, right? Not handling all of their bills. Okay, not considering, not planning ahead for the future. Okay, if I rest here, if I save my money here, okay, if I'm on my own here with my apartment, with what I can afford, not always having to go back and ask mom or dad for money. If I plan for buying ahead, if I plan for a good future, if I plan for actually sharing a life with someone special, that special heart, okay, and really considering that rather than, oh, I'm just going to go out and just go out with anyone, okay, all those things together, we're seeing are not being developed, and that's kind of a part of the spirit, okay, that also affects the mind, and so
I've
they
also
never
seen
move
where
on.
I've also seen where they're not holding down jobs, or they're keeping jobs, or understanding how to interact with leadership or management, or have
Exactly.
different work ethics that are develop trust and connection with a cohort and in a work environment. Have you also examined that?
I got to tell you something. In fact, there is a young family. They have a young lady. She's 27 years old. She just started working for the first time at 25. Okay, and her mother and father said, "You finally have to get out. Okay, you have to do this. You have to go on your own." Well, the thing is then she has gotten a job. She has held on to it for a few weeks, and then she didn't like something. So she will argue as if she was arguing with a teacher in high school. And this is what the father has told me. So she has already had 9 jobs because her inability to realize that no, some things we have to get through and we have to work on our communication. And if there is something that's concerning, there are proper ways to go about it. And several times she has walked out of a job. What happened is that she wanted to get married. She got married, and unfortunately, right now she's not happy with the marriage, and so she's just ready to just end it. But they've only been married 3 months, and so there's the marriage, there's the jobs, there's these types of things. And her story is not unique. It's not just her. What happens is I have seen this amongst many young adults. I've seen many young adult men who don't realize that when they're married, this is a commitment. This is a bond. This is love. They don't even understand what love is. Then what happens is in the career area, they're not able to hold down a job because, oh, I don't like that. I'm just going to go to something else. Okay. I've heard that many times. So,
And do you think, sorry to interrupt, do you think that, we want to look at the factors here, at least I'm curious, do you think that at some level, we're, because we're the adults breeding or raising, breeding,
right.
these kiddos, and what of culture is allowing this to be a predominant way of being in our young adult population?
Well, I could tell you as parents, I think we've been so busy doing our own things in one aspect where we've assumed, okay, they're at this age, they can handle themselves.
Yeah, so we've made assumptions.
We've made assumptions. We didn't mean to, but unfortunately, in some areas of life, either we didn't have the time as parents to train our children in certain things. The education system was not able to train. And so we are so into our things, working, etc., that we haven't had time to spend helping foster our young people to become young independent adults.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. And hoping, you know, it's almost like being high on hoping. I'm hoping it's all working out, but not really taking any measurements or
Yeah,
checking
that's
in.
right. And allowing it to transcend over. Okay, let's think back in the early days when somebody would work in the family business, and then they would slowly learn a family business and come up.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe the mother and father was doing some other type of work, but they participated with them in some way, or else it would be shared with them. Well, we don't have that type of environment in society today, and so it's distant, it's separate.
Mhm.
Um,
We also don't have home ec. You know, there were
we don't
certain
have home ec. Yeah,
certain courses inside of my upbringing, and I'm supposing yours as well, that were just inherently they were required. And in the curriculum of being able to graduate that you take. And I remember there was a magazine that they gave us a subscription to that taught us different things. And we would read that. It was just a simple little magazine. I think it was called Home Ec.
right.
And then we'd have quizzes in there and things like that. And then we even had a study group where we could, because in the home ec classroom there was a kitchen. In the home ec classroom there was sewing machines. You know, they're in the home ec classroom. There we even had field trips to the automotive establishments to understand. I remember
Yes.
changing a tire and doing my oil or checking my oil. Not I didn't at that age we didn't change it, but I changed my oil since then. And
Yeah.
so all of these things, changing wiper blades. I mean, it sounds simple, yet I remember going in being excited about learning these things and learning these next level of just life. And I was a sophomore in high school and I was excited about it. And then now I hear that home ex and you're a teacher. So is it truly out of school? Is there no preparation for just life skills inside of our education system?
That's absolutely true. It really is. And I couldn't believe it was removed. I mean, think about this. Oh, one of the important things I learned to do also in the garden was just how to sew. Okay. Why was that so important? You know, anything can happen. We rip something. What we've done is these basic skills have been removed, whereby now I can't do it. I can't do it on my
I
own.
don't know how. I hear
I
that a lot.
don't
I
know
don't
how.
know how. Mhm.
But that I don't know how does affect the ability to actually stand up and take charge.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's the thing. And so we need to return many of these skills from just basic home ec. We call it basic home ec. I call it life ec.
Right.
Life economics, life living. It's necessary skills for life. Let's not call it home ec anymore. It's necessary skills for life.
Correct.
Okay. For being independent and self-sufficient. Right.
And so you're part of our program here at Bonfire that we've developed that has brought all your background and all your aptitudes and skill sets of a teacher, you know, your life of these, you know, overcoming these places where even at some place you said you've shared with me that, you know, being bullied and playing small,
No.
not wanting to
Right.
be seen, right? Not wanting to
Right.
stand out, the lack of confidence and in your triumph of yourself through life and developing a program now that is to work with these young adults and help the parents, right? We're helping parents find this partnership so that their young adults have these aptitudes and beliefs in themselves and develop this confidence strategically through a program. Could you share with us what that program is and everything that's been brought in for these young adults?
Yeah. The name of the program is Ready for Life, to allow their young adult children to actually be ready to go out on their own, to have the confidence and the skills necessary to do it. For many parents, sometimes it's recognizing what it is. Parents, we know there's something that needs to be done. Okay. So we want to help the parents prepare their children to be able to handle all of the life skills that we talked about, everything that's in home economics, but more than, okay, to be able to uh, develop a budget, to be able to plan ahead, to be able to know what's necessary when purchasing a car, buying a home, maintaining a home,
Getting an
um,
apartment.
getting an apartment, of course. So you have to start there. All of these necessary skills and all of these things that are a part of our modern adult life. So then, two things. One, the young adults do know how to do it, but also they have the mindset of, I can do this.
Right. Because we take them through the experience of actually doing it. So
They do it themselves. That's right.
yes,
We don't do it for them.
right. And it's also built around a cohort of other young adults so that they can establish a very positive, healthy community that's there to support each other.
Absolutely. Think about this. Let's go back to the times long ago where you would have young adults becoming of age, let's say in the tribe, right?
Right.
So essentially, they become a part of the tribe, okay? In high school, some students will joke around and not treat it so seriously because
Right.
they don't see this is actually preparing them for the end. However, here, oh, this is important. So now we have our tribe, our family, our community, whatever we want to, call it, but you're working together and you're with a cohort, you're with someone about your age. And so you're going through it together where there's no looking down, there's no shame, there's none of that. It's
no competition.
Yeah, we can do this. No competition. We're in this together.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. Some of the things I know have been developed in the program that I absolutely am excited about. Like you've mentioned, the knowing how to navigate the a rental lease and discussions with getting your own apartment, and then even what is necessary inside of the apartment to have a life that's comforting and life-giving.
Right.
And then the operating and maintaining a vehicle and understanding how to even purchase a vehicle and understanding the importance of your credit score and the banking and understanding
All
how
of it.
to keep your money flow going. And because, I worked with this young male once, and he thought because the bank balance showed he had money there, that money was available, and he'd forgotten that he bought all these other things the day before. And where'd the money go? So
yeah, that's right. Balancing a checkbook with our real checkbook, okay, and then doing it online. Let me tell you, those are very necessary skills. And then also planning ahead. A wonderful thing of saving. It's a wonderful new thing. And that's kind of a fascinating also issue. Did you know that the majority of consumer marketing, about 70% of consumer marketing, is aimed at young adults and teenagers, which is kind of fascinating. So you want to buy things, absolutely. We all want to buy wonderful and the latest and greatest. Nothing wrong with that, but it's planning for that, planning ahead, saving, and all of this, rather than just, oh, it says $100 in my bank account. Great, I'm going to go spend 99.
Right. Or they get themselves in trouble with debt and credit cards, and understanding what that really means to us long term. So, and then we also have a segment in there is developing healthy relationships, and even how do you date in a way that you have healthy boundaries, upfront communications, and don't get yourself in a situation that could be harmful to your mentality and your emotional state. So I know that's something that you're excited about too. Could you speak toward the dating formula and the dating plan we have in there for our young adults?
Well, I tell you what, it's several aspects with it. Okay. For example, because of the feeling of unworthiness, some people may put themselves in a situation, some young adults, they're trying to grow up. They're trying to feel worthy. They're trying to prove something to themselves, and inadvertently they put themselves in a dangerous situation. And maybe they don't recognize it. Maybe they don't know it is dangerous. On the other end, we may have some trying to get control of their life to where they become controllers, and they want to force something that isn't natural, that isn't real, and isn't there. And so then sometimes we have young adults who enter into something that could possibly develop, but because the mindset is still an adolescent mindset, it doesn't. Okay. Or it prolongs at the same adolescent stage. Okay. And so we have those three areas, for example, where we have people for different reasons are in here, but still it's to learn how to enter into, develop and maintain a healthy relationship with another. And the thing is that that's also an experience, or that's also something that some young adults have never learned. And so they don't know what to do. And I've seen some very professional young adults where they earn a good living not be able to maintain a relationship because of other areas in their life that they haven't developed.
hmm Or lacking friendships, and they'd love to have some solid friendships, and feeling that anxiety of, how do I create friendships? What are they going to expect from me? What do I do as a friend? We move out of the high school realm where friendships are sometimes forced within us because we're within proximity of people. But
Right.
whenever we get outside of that structured, it's already designed for us curriculum and, just way of being inside of a school system, and we're outside on our own now. I've seen so many young adults that just simply stay in their apartment. They go to work, they come home, they stay in their apartment, and they have this immense amount of fear of social interaction and feeling
Yes.
awkward or being taken advantage of.
Absolutely. And so we want to help young adults do
Mhm.
this. And it's necessary to have good, healthy friendships.
Mhm.
Okay. This is who we are as human beings. We are a communal we're a communal species. And so we need this. And so we also need to learn to develop good, healthy friendships for our own well-being. And then we in turn contribute this also back to our friends. And
Mhm.
so we receive and give. And in that giving and receiving, wow, we grow together.
It's
Yeah,
awesome. I
absolutely.
love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I can feel your excitement for the Ready for Life program. It's something that has been, whenever you attach to this, and you're the director of it now, it's the passion that you have of everything that you bring to the young adults is so palpable. Your heart and your soul just sings with this. And I know that you're here to help the parents who are saying, I need some strategic help. I've done the best I can. I don't know what else to do. And
Right.
also, especially there for the young adults who are not knowing where to turn, who can I respect and trust, who can be a mentor and a guide to my life so that they can return to their own hero's journey. We want our young adults to go through those trials and tribulations that they've had in their life. Yes, they will be part of our life, every single one of us on the planet, and that there is a way to come through that
Right.
and find ourselves and have confidence and trust in ourselves and realize that the obstacles ahead of our life are not going to do us in. They're not
Right.
going to hold us back. We now believe in our own power. Yes.
The thing is then they don't have to complain. Well, I never learned this. I don't know this, or I can't do this. What that is that's a type of screaming out, I want this. So
I
let's
need help. Yeah,
let's transition this from a negative into a positive where we can have that higher level thinking and know, hey, I can do this.
definitely.
And I could do this with others. And I'm a part of something greater than myself. Yeah, absolutely.
How beautiful. And we're also looking at teaming with employers that will allow, they're going to first want the young adults that have come through the Ready for Life program, because they will have learned these aptitudes, these soft skills, these communication ways of being, the respect restored in leadership and authority and understanding all they bring. And so it gives them a leg up and this advantage over the people in their communities that have not had this program or gone through it. Correct?
Absolutely. You see, once employers realize that we have some people that are ready to live an adult life like an adult, then they're responsible. They're loyal. They will do their duty. They're respectful. They have the thing of honor and integrity. Okay, and the thing is that that's something that I've heard many employers say with regards to younger people, young adults, is I don't know if I could trust them, or there's always something going on. And so when these young adults can develop these virtues of integrity, honor, loyalty, doing their duty, and completing
Respect. Mhm.
respect, absolutely, and um, and then basically having the courage to come in. Listen, I made a mistake. I need to let you know. That's a great thing when someone can come to me when I was an employer and say, you know what, I made a mistake. Hey, thank you for telling me. Okay, let's address it.
Mhm.
Let's take care of this now. Um, and then they're open and honest. And then as an employer, I say, that's an honest young person.
Mhm.
That's an honest young adult. I trust that young adult.
Those are the leaders we want and desperately need in our young adult population. And so the Ready for My Life program at
Yeah.
Bonfire Coaching is something that you're the director and the head of. And so how do they find you? How do they reach out? What is the next step for someone who's listening to this and saying, I want to know more, I want to dive in. How can you help me?
Well, I tell you what, we have the website coming out. It's readyforlife.com. So they can go there. My name is Larry Monks. I can be reached through there. And so my email is there. And it is Larry Monks at bonfirecoaching.com. So please, I'm going to encourage you to go to readyforlife.com. And we have the information that's there. But I am ready to answer any questions, whether it's a young adult who has a question or an adult who has a question, a parent who has a question. And so let's engage, let's talk.
Beautiful. And we also have a phone number of 713-332-3858. And we work with young adults from all over the nation. And even in other countries, we have experience there too. So if you know that you're either a parent saying, I'd love to learn more about the program, or you're a young adult yourself, and someone has put your ears into this recording, then do reach out. We're here for you. If you want to be a part of something bigger, something amazing that is growing and it's so needed. The rite of passage is sometimes a handout to a tribe that's here to support you and help you see the beauty of life and all that it can be for you. Your future is amazing, and we're here to shed the light on it. Right, Larry?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being our guest today. It's awesome. I love sharing conversation with you. You've come through so many beautiful places in your life and allowed what you've learned and how you've grown and the insights and wisdom that you've gathered to help the next person who is ready to say, help me find that same light in my life. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you very much, Tina Marie.